Hello. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. There is peace deep inside you, inside each and every one of us, and bringing that forth and expanding it is going to be the topic of our conversation today. Because that's what each and every one of us must do. We're moving through chapter 19 of the text of A Course in Miracles. And if you wish to follow along, this series of videos is very slowly and deliberately going through the text, which is not a race, it's not a sprint or anything like that. We simply consider a few paragraphs at a time because that's quite enough to digest. It's quite enough to talk about for sure. And there's no race in this, and there's no hurry. And along the way, as you may know, we pause to talk about certain items, things like forgiveness, miracles, and questions that you all may have, which, by the way, I invite, and you're more than welcome to leave them here. It's certainly a good thing, and I'm happy to take a pause through this procession through the text in order to address what's coming up for you live, because that is what this is about. The course is a self-study curriculum. It is, which means you go at your own pace. You take what you wish to take on a given day. There's another way of putting that. You take what you're willing to take on a given day, and then you get up tomorrow and you do it all over again. That's how this works, and it's all about the practical experience. Spirituality, in whatever form it may take, is entirely about practical application. Because, and especially as adult learners, if we don't put it into practice, if we don't do it, if we don't apply what we're learning in our daily lives, we don't really learn it. We're missing out on an extraordinary learning opportunity because it's in the doing that our experience proves to us. Proves, if you want proof, you prove it to yourself. Our experience demonstrates to us and shows us that the teachings that we're studying here are in fact true. These ideas that may seem really weird, I mean, and some of them may seem very, very weird here for sure, especially at first glance, and maybe at 174th glance too. I don't know. Yeah. It's taking these ideas that we're studying and putting them into practice. You really learn this course by doing it. So when Jesus tells us that there is peace deep within us, and we must expand it, then that's what we must do. Bring it forth, in other words. So, this particular section of the text of A Course in Miracles talks about obstacles to peace, and there are several of them. It's a section of the course that's broken down into several component parts, which we'll cover here over the next few videos and the next few days, deliberately, one at a time. I mean, that's the way the text presents it, so that's the way the videos present it for sure. Yeah. There are obstacles to peace in our experience, and We can say that because we don't experience it constantly. So something's in the way. So we think, right? And while we think that, we must remove those obstacles. There is peace deep within you. Now, you may not feel that today. You may not feel that at all because you may be going through a period of your life or a season of your life that's an upheaval, that's a hot mess, perhaps. You may be going through something very, very traumatic and stressful. I don't know. This peace continues to elude us day to day. We get glimpses of it, and perhaps you may feel like you've got a lot of it, which is great. But there are still obstacles that arise, and if you didn't have them, then you wouldn't be listening to this conversation for sure. It would certainly not be necessary. But because we have them, we must remove them. It's this willingness to remove them that we bring. The Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, does the rest. So, as you know, if you've been studying this course for any length of time, that it's our relationship with our inner teacher that is of paramount importance. Most definitely. Some of these obstacles to peace we impose ourselves. Others seem to come from our brother, from somebody else, in other words, or from the world outside us. No matter where the obstacle appears to come from, it's still an obstacle, and it's equally an obstacle. In other words, it's equally an illusion. One is not more difficult to remove than another. So we must remove them. And this peace flows easily through them. It does. May not feel like it today, but we're reassured here in the first three paragraphs of this section that this peace will flow easily, gently, certainly, and effortlessly over these obstacles. And not plowing through them like a battering ram with aggressive force, but it's peace. It flows through them, and we're reassured that this peace is deep within us, and we do know this. Now, it may not feel like it again, day to day, moment to moment, because who knows? I mean, I don't know what's going on in your life, but we all have our fair share of stressors. And on some days, that is the most gross and vast understatement in the world, isn't it? Because you may be having one of those moments. This is a good passage of the text to return to because it reassures us, it reassures you that this peace is deep within you and it will flow across all obstacles. We expand it. And we do this by bringing what the Course refers to as the little willingness, our little willingness. We bring this to the table, moment to moment. In our little willingness to let the Holy Spirit guide us, in our little willingness to extend the miracle of true forgiveness to our brother, to see our brother as ourself. Because the perceived separation is not true. We look around at the world and we see 8 billion plus screaming human beings, sometimes not screaming, often screaming, sometimes chill, but not always peaceful. And this peace is deep within us because it's who and what we really are. So the more that we can bring this willingness to extend it, to bring it forth, in other words, the better. And as we show up with this willingness, we, surprise of all surprises, begin to feel more peaceful. If you are a student of this course and you've been doing the true forgiveness that the course talks about and teaches, if you've been doing this for a length of time, however long, you'll know what I'm talking about. And this is true, by the way, whether you're a course student or not. Think of your own spiritual practice, whatever form that may take, and whether or not this course is even part of that. It doesn't have to be. You're here for a reason. There's a message for you from the Holy Spirit. You may have already heard it. You may be about to hear it. I don't know. But when you practice, when you put these ideas into practice, your experience demonstrates to you that they're true. This is true of spirituality in general. When you extend love, you begin to see things very, very differently. And that is the point. Things that once bothered you may one day, perhaps today, no longer bother you. You may experience the exact same stressor, the exact same triggering moment. Perhaps it's an event, perhaps it's a certain person that says something that once got to you, that once provoked a knee-jerk response. You may have thought of several of those in the last couple of seconds. We all have them. And we can take a look today. If that same thing happens today that would have driven you nuts years ago or last week or however long it's been, do you respond the same way? And when you look and you see that you respond more peacefully today as compared with several years ago or when you set out on your journey, then that is a very, very good realization. It's very good because it shows you that this is in fact working. So, are you more peaceful? Are you kinder? Are you more loving? Do the things that used to bother you still bother you the same way? Or do you not even recognize them because you've changed your mind? Excellent. So we're invited here today to simply keep going and to know that this peace that we're seeking is deep within us. And how do we find it? We give it away. We extend it in looking upon our brother, in other words, other people, with graciousness and love and forgiveness. We're looking at the Holy Spirit. In other words, we're looking at ourself. We are. We are. We're looking at ourselves. How do you experience peace? You extend it. You give it away. We give things away to keep them in our mind. This is, of course, the reverse of how the world sees it. This whole course is a reverse of how the world sees it. So, quite naturally, you give things away to keep them in your mind. You don't get rid of them. You keep them by extending, by giving them away. Begs the question, what are you giving away? Give peace and love today. All right. Thank you for joining me. And as always, I appreciate your comments and questions here. I'm here to serve as a guide for you. So if you have a particular question, please don't hesitate to ask, to leave it in the comment thread here on YouTube, which is a perfect place. I do look at all of the comments, all of them, and I will see them. So definitely please ask questions if you've got that. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do that as well. I want to invite you to join us. That's the prompt in the corner of your screen. Just click that and you'll be invited to subscribe. And thank you to all of you who have recently done that. There've been a fair number of you. It's an international community, which is great because it's the internet and we can reach each other all over the world at all different times. Yeah, it's fantastic. So I thank you as always for joining me. Again, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you.